Hello all, this is Ashwin again. How is it going? Welcome back to another OpenCV and Python tutorial. In the last tutorial we saw how to create contours. So in this tutorial we are going to create a project using webcam and all the concepts of OpenCV that we learned earlier. So in this tutorial we are going to create a small application for detection of motion using the webcam. We are not only going to detect the motion, we are also going to track it. So this is the template of the program which sets the resolution of camera to 800 into 600 and then displays the live webcam feed on the screen, okay, using OpenCV's internal imshow function. So this is me. So now the goal of this exercise is to be able to combine all the concepts that we know earlier and then create a useful application out of it. So for that, first let's get started with the logic. So how we are going to track the how we are going to detect the motion. So let's say we are going to read a frame, okay, frame 1, and then we are going to read frame 2 from the live video feed. The logic that we are going to use is that we are going to find out the difference between these two frames and then we are going to highlight that difference using contours. So let us get started with the coding. So the very first thing that we need to do is to find out to read a frame from the camera. So, or we will read two consecutive frames as placeholder frames, and let's say frame 1, frame 2, okay, and then we need to calculate the difference between the frames. Now already we are reading two frames at the beginning of before we are getting started with the loop. That's why this line is redundant, or let's keep it as it is. Okay, we might actually have to use it next time, okay, like in the end of this loop. So let's find out the difference between these two frames using D equal to CV2 dot absolute difference, okay, ABS DIFF. So it will find out the absolute difference between two frames. So we know that if when we subtract a bigger number from a smaller number, we get the negative value, and when we say absolute difference, then the output is always positive, okay. So frame 1 comma frame 2, frame 1 comma frame 2. So this is the D is the absolute difference between D is the absolute difference, okay. And once we have this absolute difference, let us show this absolute difference on the screen first. So before we show this absolute difference on the screen, or should we show this absolute difference on the screen? Should we? So I'm just thinking. Let me think. I don't think that it will be a very good idea to show the absolute difference on the screen, is it? Or okay, so we will show the absolute difference on the screen, but before going ahead with that, we need to write some logic which is going to continuously calculate the absolute difference, and it is going to show the absolute difference on the screen. So let's write that logic, or let's write that logic right away. So I was talking about deleting this line. Let's delete this line and let's put it in the end, and it should be frame 1 of read, and then we will just say frame 3 equal to frame 1, and yes, frame 3 equal to frame 1 and frame 1 equal to, sorry, frame 1 equal to frame 2 we will say. Yes, frame 1 equal to frame 2, frame 1 equal to frame 2. So frame 3 is an intermediate frame that we are going to use. And what is this? Variable D is assigned but never used. So we will just use this D. Okay, so as of now, frame 3 is an intermediate frame where we are saving the value of frame 1 from the earlier iteration. Okay, here we are assigning the value of frame 2 to frame 1, and then again we are reading another frame from the original image. So let me check if the logic is correct. So frame 1 equal to cap.read, frame 2 also equals to cap.read, and then frame 1 comma frame 2 absolute difference that we are calculating. Then we are going ahead and assigning frame 1 to frame 3, that is also correct, and then frame 1 equal to frame 2, yes, and then frame 1 equal to, or frame 2 equal to cap.read. So with this, let's go ahead and see what the difference is, or what the difference looks like. Or we can just say, what was the original frame? It was frame 2. And let's say intermediate. It should be D. Let's execute the code. We are going to have two windows now. Yeah. So yes, now this is correct. Now this is I'm still, and this is I'm making movement. Okay. So whatever may be the difference, it is highlighted on screen. Okay, so difference is highlighted on screen, difference between the consecutive frames. So we are going to work on that. Now D is actually one of the important outputs that we have gotten till now, and we are going to use this D further in order to calculate the next steps. So the next step is going to be to convert this thing into grayscale, because anyway, we have got the frames which are different. Then it is obviously they should be converted to grayscale, because the color is not going to be useful. We are just going to calculate the difference between the frames and using them for further. So create a variable gray equals to cv2 dot cvt color and d comma cv2 dot bg cv2 dot color underscore bgr to gray. Yes, and now we are going to even have a look at grayscale of this. Okay, sorry, not this one, grayscale. So we will use the second window to see all the intermediate outputs. So this is a very good way to learn by continuous debugging. Now this is the grayscale of the intermediate output that we have got, or this is the grayscale of the difference between consecutive frames. And now the next thing that we need to do is we need to apply Gaussian blur on this intermediate output, or the grayscale thing. So once we apply Gaussian blur on this, this thing will be blurred a bit. So let's create another variable blur and apply cv2 dot Gaussian blur gray, and we need to specify the size of kernel 3,3. Let's apply 3, or let's apply 5,5 of 5 comma 0. So this applies the Gaussian blur, and let's see how the image with Gaussian blur looks like. Yeah. So this is how it looks like, the grayscale image looks like after applying the Gaussian blur. Finally, we are going to create a thresholded image before we move on to the final step of finding the contour. Or this, we can say it's a last but one step. So threshold will be RET, comma TH. TH stands for thresholded value. CV2 dot threshold, and blur, the blurred image is input for this. Parameters for threshold should be like, say, 20, 255, comma, it should be binary threshold. Okay, so the algorithm for threshold that we are using should be binary, resh underscore binary. Yes, this is binary threshold. So th should be the intermediate output that we should be interested in as of now. Yes, yes, now this is how the thresholded image looks like. Yes. Now if you observe that this thresholded image is quite fine, the only thing is that it is not like showing the objects as it is. Okay, it is just showing the boundaries. Okay, and now this can also be used as a movement detector. I mean, whatever movement is there in the image, it is detected very well. Okay, so let me put it like this. This is like a sadhu baba. Yeah, if you don't know the meaning of sadhu, sadhu is nothing but a sage in India. So a sage in India is called a sadhu. So I am dressing like a sage. Yes. So this is the intermediate output. Once we are done with this intermediate output, we can use a couple of morphological transformations to find out the dilation. Correct. So in order to find out the dilated image, we need to use cv2.dilate. So dilated equal to cv2.dilate, and the thresholded image th, and kernel should be np.once 3,3. You can have any kernel that you want to have, and we also need to pass the data type of this thing. Okay, let's say np.uint of 8, np.uint of 8, and I guess it has to be enclosed in the brackets like this, comma, we need to provide the number of iterations. Okay, iteration equal to, let's say 3. 3 iterations will be enough, because this is on live video. It is going to take up a lot of computing power, I guess. Okay, so I guess dilated is assigned but never used. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this dilated stuff, th and dilated. Okay, so we are using dilated here before we can, calculate it. So let's go ahead and put these lines here. Will it be fine? Yeah. And let's clear this thing. Let's also clean this print cap. I just actually printed these lines to see if the resolution of the camera that I have set was supported or not. Now let us see the dilated image, how it looks like. It would look cool. Yes, this is me, and this is the dilated image. Yes, now it is showing the movement quite perfectly. It doesn't seem to have any problem. Yeah. Now the only task that is left is to draw contours around this thing. We just need to draw contours, and once we draw contours around this output, then we can just say that the movement is detected. So for drawing contours, we already know, because that was just last tutorial that we saw. Just say img, contours, contours, hierarchy h, or I will just shorten the variables because it's gonna take a lot of characters on the screen. Find contours, and finally we will input dilated image, dilated, dilated, the control retrieval mode cv2 dot retr underscore tree, and finally the approximation method. So let's use chain approximation method, CV2 dot chain approximation simple, CHAIN APPROX underscore SIMPLE. So this is how we have found out the contours. The final task left is to draw the contours. Okay, let's keep it here. And yeah, frame 1, sorry. Okay, and let's keep it here. And or anyway, we don't even need an intermediate frame for this, because anyway it is going to be overwritten. So let us type everything, let's print everything on the first frame or any one of the frames. So CV2 dot draw contours on frame 1. Okay, and frame 1 and comma contour C -1 comma any color. So the color should be 0 comma 255 comma 0, or let's track it with blue color, it will look great, comma 2. Okay, so now the frame 1 will be the output. Let's say output. Now I hope it is gonna work. Keeping the fingers crossed and running the code again. Yeah, yes, it shows the output perfectly. Yes, so whatever is the motion it is tracking, it is able to track all the motion. Cool, that is cool. So if I don't move at all, if I just move my mouth, wow. Yes, if I just move my mouth or just move my head, it is going to highlight only that part. So there is even a way to achieve better results for this. Because my processor is quite fast, I can just apply this dilation and erosion repeatedly on this image in order to find the contours. So let me improve this code. I have actually pretty fast computer, that's why I'm able to do all these things. Otherwise, getting these things done in the real time is really real pain in the ass. So let's see. 10 iterations on this is kind of dangerous. Yes, yeah, actually you can see the boundaries of the movement have expanded. So I can even make this 15. Anyway, I'm going to apply the erosion techniques in order to contract the boundaries. So let's see. Yeah. Yes, so this is fine, and now I should be able to erode the stuff. Yes, dilated and eroded. So I should actually erode it equally. Eroded. So basically you just need to keep on trying different things. So this is dilated and this, let's say, eroded. And we need to pass eroded, eroded. Yeah. So basically you need to keep on trying a lot of stuff in order for this program to make work for your environment. It hasn't eroded actually. So we need to apply erosion repetitively. So let's say, okay, sorry, eroded. I just say eroded. I did not change the function, sorry. So it would erode now and it will give us the correct output. Yes. Now this is the perfect motion tracking kind of stuff. So whatever is moving, it is able to track, and this is cool. So mind it, I am able to apply this dilation and erosion with 15 iterations because my computer is fast enough. So if you are using this on a slow computer or an older computer, there is going to be a lot of lag. So make sure that you are going to use a fast computer, or you are going to reduce the number of iterations. So what if I just keep one iteration? Is it still going to produce the same result? Yeah, it's kind of producing the same result. Even the erosion and all, it does not matter much. So you can just keep on adjusting the parameters and see the result. Okay. So this is how we can use multiple concepts that we have learned in OpenCV and Python 3 to create a nice mini project or a project. If you are studying in a grade school, then you can show this as your own project to your teachers and they will be impressed. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Check out my next video on Max RGB filter on real-time webcam feed. Let me know your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will see you next time.